Hi. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sunil. So give us a few minutes. We're going to start the session in about 2 minutes time. Hope I am audible to everyone. Great. Give us a few more minutes. A lot of people joining in. We'll give them some time to come in, and then we'll start this off. Okay. So I think it's time. I have not here. Okay. I'm going to ask. Am I audible now? I think a few of you have said that I'm not audible. Just checking the chat. Yeah, Anuprita, we are starting it now. I see Maharaja Prem, you wanted somebody to call us. I mean, is there any issue? Are you not able to log in? Okay, sure. I think I'm going to start now. We have most of our owners have joined in, so I'm going to start with a brief introduction of me. I'm Sunil. I lead the products team here at Kreedo. My team has been creating the different products, be it the materials, books, and the current Practico App that we'll be talking about today at various levels. We've been here in the system for more than 7 years now. So I'm sure since we are talking to school owners here, I sincerely wish that everybody here has been very successful in implementing Kreedo over the years in your schools. So today we are here to discuss about online games. I know for young children that too, which can be a tricky topic to be. So today here we are here to discuss about the online games that the children of young children and how Kreedo's Practico online games will help in enhancing learning outcomes in children. Okay, so online games, like we all know, it's a very hotly debated topic, and especially for younger children. There are multiple studies which says that there are problems associated with it, and there are studies which say that there are benefits associated with the same. This discussion is an everlasting one, so there is no rest to it anytime soon. But we can all agree that the acceptance of technology has come a long way since the COVID pandemic. So my daughter, who was about 5 years of age when the pandemic started, school and pretty much all our lives moved online. I was worried for her, saying that, okay, how will she learn going forward? There are like her learning and social emotional development could take a hit. After all, preschool children on a mobile screen could not be the best way for her to grow and learn, isn't it? But as the pandemic continued and continued further, we all started to adjust to life on the screen. Like all parents, I worried frequently about the dangers of screen time. So screen time is one topic. I'm going to move on to the next slide. But yeah, so the screen time. So when we say screen time, this is a word that we have heard many times, and we all know that too much screen time causes issues which are developmental and some are more physical. But during the pandemic and now after it, there are many studies that have shown that certain benefits of screen time too. I understand this is a bit difficult to digest here, but I agree. But do hear me out. Screen time in the with the right content and in the correct moderation will have a positive impact on children, and there are studies which have shown that this is a possibility. But during the pandemic and now after it as well, there are many studies that have shown that there are benefits to it, and there are positive impacts to it. And then now the question arises, so what is the right content when you say moderation can bring in? So what is right content, and what moderation should the parent and the teacher bring in to ensure that the screen time is correctly utilized? So before I answer these questions, let's see an average time that young children spend on online gaming. So currently, this is a worldwide phenomena when we say that there are about 2 hours of time that each child spends, and these are pre-teens, I mean less than 10 years old, but or between 8 and 12 years old, who are spending about 2 hours every weekday, and then about 5 hours on weekends. So this is true for most children. And let's face it, even now when we return to school or normal life post-pandemic, most children who we know still get plenty of screen time, and my daughter, who's now 8 years old, is one of them. So coming back to the question, what is the right content that an online tool or an online gaming should have, and what is the moderation that we need to bring in? So right contents are the ones which develop literacy skills, numeracy skills, cognitive skills, and they encourage critical thinking, they encourage logical reasoning capabilities. So these are the specific capabilities that the online game should bring in for it to be categorized into the right category. So in the wrong category, there are just too many. There are multiple mindless animations going on, videos going on, which serve no purpose other than entertainment value and fun value. Mark my words, fun is critical, but then learning is also as critical as having fun. I mean, the greater combination would be learning through fun, and that's where we bring in our expertise and then ensure that the technology, when used, is used judiciously and in the right dose. Okay, so moderation, as we know it, is just about setting limits, setting the type of content that the children we have to view. And here the parents and the teachers play a very vital role in moderating this, in understanding, saying that, okay, this is what my child needs to hear, this is what my child needs to see, and this is how much time I would be able to give my child to take this up further. Okay, so our online gaming platform, the Practico, is one such right content. So coming back to so I'm just setting this context for you to understand, saying that why did we in the first place come out with Practico online gaming app? I understand all the different issues that screen time can bring in, but like I said, there are multiple studies and there are multiple groups that have worked post-pandemic especially, who are saying that screen time used judiciously and the right content coming through is a great way to enhance learning outcomes in children, especially the younger ones. And definitely more research is on, and then we'll have more data coming through for us to know if this works or not. But at this point, there are enough data and enough information for us to say that screen time or online gaming used well for learning also helps in enhancing learning outcomes. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to what Practico is all about. So Practico is a thoughtfully designed early learning gaming app. It contains engaging activities, a lot of learning online activities. I'm going to show you a few examples later on to give you an objective of why we have done this, like it's there on the screen, to supplement the learning that is happening in the school where Kreedo is being implemented. Like you all know, we follow the concrete to abstract part when it comes to activity-based learning or the play-based approach. So Practico, in certain senses, completes the learning process. The learning process in a Kreedo Part school starts with the materials. So in the lab, the children use the material, work with it, understand a specific concept the concrete way. And then once the understanding comes in, it is reinforced using books in the classroom and classroom activities. So from concrete to representation happens there in the classroom. And then the learning continues at home through Practico. So this is the additional element that we have brought in, which will kind of complete the learning cycle at both home and school. So that's the idea when we came in saying that, okay, Practico is the missing element, wherein at home, if there are elements wherein the child can reinforce what he has learned in school, and I'll be through in a fun way, why not? So with this, the fundamentals for the children are laid solidly, and from which they can build the skills that will hold them strong in their lives, be it academic or be it in their career. So the fundamentals are laid strong through concrete, through materials, through books, and then now with the additional element of Practico coming in, it just enhances learning at a multiple level. With Practico also the real life context, a little bit of animation, interactiveness that comes in, adds in the fun element. So the what is now set. So in that, now why did we come out with Practico as a solution now? So Kreedo believes that concrete learning through activities and materials are the best way for children to learn in the early years. But with the advent of technology and increasing adaptation of the same, it's critical that the technology is used in the right form to augment learning and to ensure children learn the right way and through technology. So this is the idea. So the early years, it's not easy for us to create technology, online-based learning for young children and keep them occupied and also ensure that the learning happens. So what we have come out with a set of games which are fun, and at the other end of the spectrum also learning happens through them. The learning is concrete because the child has already gone through the elements of learning in a Kreedo lab. They've gone through the books, and then here reinforcement is happening, and the fun element added in is the reason why we brought in Practico. And also in currently today, the games currently seen are fun, some extremely so, but most lack the learning content. The element that develops usable skills in young children are missing. So this is why the Practico games needs to fill in, making the games more educational and fun at the same time had been the objective of Practico right from the very beginning. We wanted to make it more learning, wanted to make it more fun. And this is where the core fundamentals of these app came into being. And then now here we are presenting it to you and ensuring it's going to launch very soon. Okay, so what age groups or what classes do we cater to? We currently cater to nursery, LKG, and UKG in our parlance, level 1, level 2, and level 3. We are working on multiple set of games that should be ready for launch very soon. So we are launching it immediately with a set of new games for now, and then we will keep adding those games as we go on through the academic year. So like I said, grade 1 and grade 2 will KG and UKG, wherein we have a set of games that will be released for this year. Okay, moving ahead, what are the areas of development that we have? Like the Kreedo curriculum, we will be catering to the 3 large areas of development, the mathematics, English, and sensorial for now. All the games related to these will be there as part of the app currently. And we are working on a set of EVS or theme-based games as well. That will also come into force very soon in the near future. So, but by and large, these are the 3 large areas of development that we'll be working with when it comes to this academic year, the games associated with it. So now I'm going to show you a brief demo of what is the experience that the child will have when it comes to Practico. So to give you an understanding, the games on the app are an extension of the Kreedo's experiential and activity-based curriculum introduced in the schools, which, like I mentioned earlier. So first, a level is chosen for a child. I'm going to show you how. So if a child has joined in nursery, so only those set of games will be presented to the child. As you can see here, first we choose one level for the child to take up. That has to be done in the background by the teacher and the Kreedo team. We'll get the details and then add in, and then the chosen levels. A personalized learning path is released to each of the child. It's an automatically assigned one. So let's say, for example, in this is a level 1. The child is added in, and then automatically the games are populated in the child's login. So once the child enters the app, he or she sees a set of games like you have seen here. There's a set of 9 games that the child can see. These are not randomly placed, but rather they are part of the learning path. So these games will be specifically mated to the curriculum that we have. Whatever is completed in the class will be reinforced here. So there's no randomness here. These are part of a learning path. It's a clear learning path that we have set in. And here are the games that the child can take up at any given point of time. Okay. So each game has an introduction. So I'm going to move up to show you. So each game has multiple levels. There's an introduction level called level 0, where the presentation is shown to the child. A brief introduction of the concept is given to the child. and that will be followed by 4 levels of games. So as you can see, this is a screen. Let's say the child is in level 1 now. There is a progress bar that shows that he is currently in level 1, and then level 2, level 3, level 4 are not taken up. So level 1 will be a simplistic, the introductory part, wherein the child will be introduced to the concept, and then a game will be introduced to it. And the games get incrementally challenging as they move on from level 1 to level 4. So that's the idea. I mean, like just like the Kreedo curriculum, the challenges keep on enhancing. The learning outcome increases as the child moves from level 1 to level 4. So I'm going to briefly introduce you to the screen that you see in front. So the child will see a home button. I'm sure, I hope you can see my mouse being there. The child at any given point is free to go back to the app and then go on to a new game. So there you see a back button. Here is an example wherein the child has completed level 1 and level 2 and then wants to come back and rework on level 1. The child is free to do so. So here you have a music button, there are a hint button, and then there are rewards button. So these are all the buttons that are there, which are common for all the games that we have. So if the child is stuck somewhere and the child does not know what to do next, the child can always go and tap onto the hint button for him or her to understand what she needs to do next. There is a music that keeps playing in the background that can, if the child finds it intrusive, the child can easily take it out by cutting the music here. And at the end of every level, there are certain points that the child can win, and that will be shown as part of the rewards that are being collected on the top right screen. So this is a game screen that you can see. These are the type of elements that we do. So just as an example, I'll show you one more screen. So this is a consonant phonogram game wherein the child has to identify, images will be shown, questions will be asked. The child has to identify the phonogram that it relates to. So like I said, math, language, and sensorial are the 3 broad areas that we are looking at. And if you see, the child has moved on to level 2 here. So that will be clearly shown. Once the level 1 is completed, the progress bar shows green. And then when the level 2 is completed, it turns green too. So at every level, when the child completes a specific level, the child can either replay the same level or move on to the next level. So the child has the independence to play the level multiple times if he or she deems fit. So he wants to play it multiple times. I want to practice. We always promote the child or prompt the child to go through it multiple times. So practice makes them perfect. It also helps them to understand the concept better. Okay, every level can be taken up multiple times here. And then once the game is completed, the child can take up the entire game again, or can go on to the next level, or can go on to the next game as the child deems fit. So it is the same game moving from level 2 to level 3, and then on to level 4. This is a little tougher level for the child to complete. At any given point, help for them to help complete this level and take the learning outcome with it. Okay, so every level we have set a standard learning outcome curve. So we're back on. So there is a level completion criteria that we have set for every level. The child has to meet that to move on to the next level. So that the learning, we feel that by this time, if the child meets the level completion criteria, we know that the skill that the level can be gained by the child. So it's a thought through process. We know we have put in a specific number of elements to ensure that the child understands the concept before moving on to the next level. Okay, so this is, I'm going to show you one video wherein you see how yeah, like I said, so I'm going to replay it again. see, I'm going to pause it here and say that if you see this screen, this is where the child enters and knows that these are the number of games he or she has as part of his or her level. And the child taps in fruits game. And once that thing, this is the first, and then there is a voiceover that will introduce them to this. Yeah. So this is also introduction that will be followed by a gameplay where the child will be asked a set of questions to identify the fruits. The child has to tap on the correct fruit and then move on to the next set. So in the meanwhile, there will be multiple sets of fruits that will be presented to them. There will be prompts, there will be clues. When the child gets it right, the right answer is articulated out, will be voiced out saying that, yes, you got it right, this fruit is mango. Then if the child gets it wrong, they'll be asked to retake it. So at every given point or at every given stage, there are multiple levels of prompts that the child gets in to ensure that the child's learning is continuous. Okay. So now this is the app experience that the child will have. Before moving on to the parents' experiences, I'm going to break here for a set of questions. For now, what we have understood about Practico, if you have any set of questions, you can put it on the chat. I'm going to answer them before I move on to the next section. Any questions for me? Anuprita, if you have a question, you can type it in. Question and answer. Okay, I'm checking that now. It's an app, so Anuprita, children can play it in school or at home. Generally, we would recommend it play at home. School is a packed schedule with the timetable setting in. You have the lab, you have the book activities, you have the classroom activities. But it's there. It's there on the app. It can be used in any place. But ideally, it should be done at home to ensure that the reinforcement happens at home too. And the second question you have, do you have different games for different levels? Yes, eventually, yes. For now, for the first release, we will be sending out about 50 games across levels. And then we'll have multiple games coming in for each of the levels very soon. This cannot be demonstrated in a class because you need either an Android tab or an Android phone for this. This cannot be projected onto a screen. For now, this is more of an Android app at an individual level for each of the children. Sunita Raghuraman has said that, is there a voice assistance? Yes, there is. I mean, at every given point, there is a mascot who would be giving in instructions. And the child can also click on a specific button to get to hear the questions again and again. So the voice assistance is always there. Okay. So the cost will be, we will come to the end of it wherein when we have a discussion with the our sales professionals, they will be able to discuss it with you. They will be contact you very soon, and you can contact them, and then the costing will come in at that point. So since we are launching it, we are coming out with an offer. So the details of it will be provided by the sales personnel as we finish this, and they'll be contacting you. And at any given point, you can contact them to know about it. Okay. Take a few more questions before I move on. Yeah. Accessible to teacher, yes, definitely. There will be access to teachers given. Parents will also have access to it. Teachers will also have access to that, so that they know what the child is learning. And there'll be a demo access as well, which the teachers can see the type of games that we have. That will be provided to you very soon, as and when the school buys in the subscription of the app. Optional or compulsory is a call that the school can take. It would be great if every child in the class has access to this, because the learning definitely gets enhanced through this. Okay. So moving ahead, I'll be moving ahead with the next part, which would say about the app experience for parents. So what does a parent get in this? So the parents have full access to the Practico app. Also parents, there are teachers also who have access to this. This will help track the learning progress of the child. Parents have a section in the app. I'm going to show you that. Yeah. So on these slides, So what are the things that the parent can see? The parent can see notifications, reports, game informations, change the settings at multiple levels. So these are the elements that the app will provide to the parents so that they can track the progress of the child. So once, if you see the screen, the parent section is always there in the right top corner. There will be a secret pin that it will come to the parent's phone number that needs to be put in for them to access it, so that the child does not have access to it. So once they have access, like I said, the number of hours or number of minutes that the child has spent on the specific day, on a specific week, a specific month, and through the year will be shown here. The number of games that the child has played, number of games that the child has completed, the progress report, the game completion report, all will be provided here for the parents and the teachers to see. That additionally, the teachers and parents can also reset a set of games. For example, if the parents want the child to take up the consonant phonogram game again, there is a possibility of resetting it, and then the child can take up the game as a brand new game. So that's also a possibility that we have given here. And if you can see, we also give them data for the parent and the teacher of what is the game that the child has completed, number of attempts, number of times, number of time spent, what is the level completion that he has done, has it been completed, or has he completed only a specific set of levels. Multitude of data that the teacher wants to have to track progress will be provided in the parent section of the app. So progress tracking is one critical element every parent or the teacher would ask, and that is provided very clearly in it. And additionally, it also meets the child's online privacy protection rules. So none of the data of the children are taken or accessed either by Kreedo or by the school in any given way. So the data is protected. It is protected by law. So none of the stakeholders will be able to take access data of children or the parents at any given point of time, as long as the subscription continues. Okay. Now moving on to a few key features of the Practico app that we have thought through and come. It has a very clutter-free design. So there are not many design elements that are there that will impede the child's gaming experience. The game is clean. The game is always provided. The focus is always on the activity that the child needs to do, rather than the design elements. Okay, like I said in the beginning, there will be a non-intrusive music playing in the background to break in the monotony, since there are multiple levels that the child has to go through. So there is a music that keeps playing in. The child has the power to mute out the music if he or she does not like it. And then the most critical part, the games are easily navigable. At any given point, the child wants to move out of the game, there is an option for it. The child wants to move to a different level, there's an option for it. The child wants to, so the child does not know what he needs to do next. There's an option wherein the question is repeated. So the navigation has been made very simple, keeping in mind, one, the child is playing on it alone without much of an adult intervention, and two, it's an online playground. So the child needs to know where he or she needs to go in a very easy way. So easy navigation has been thought through. User experience has been considered very, very deeply before we came out with this approach of how navigation can be easy for every child, so that the focus is on the game only and not on identifying where should I go next, what should I do next, rather than a seamless game experience is what we thought we should bring in, and we have brought in through our navigation. Restricted usage, of course, is a parental control for parents. If you feel that the child should not take up a game for more than half an hour, you can restrict it. The amount of time that you need to is up to you, between 15 minutes to half an hour to 1 hour, and then it just stops the usage of the app. until the next session begins. So, but as an advantage, the progress that the child has made at any given point will be saved. So child has completed, for example, I'm going to go back to the game that I showed. So let's say here, the child has completed level 1, level 2, and level 3. And the child does not want to go forward and should not start from the beginning. He should start from where he has left off. So we have come up with a technique wherein the level 1, level 2, level 3 progress is saved. And then when he comes back, he can directly go to L4 and then complete his game there. So again, like I said earlier, the child wants to come start level 1, he or she is free to do so. So that's the advantage that we bring in, wherein practice can child at every level. So now moving on, progress tracking is a critical element. Like I said, every parent and teacher can track the progress of the child, and then additionally, it meets the child's online privacy protection provisions very strictly. Okay, so now there is this additional added on element of where is it uploaded. Currently we have it on Android. It's not there for iPhones yet. So on Android in Play Store it is available for download, and then once the subscription happens, it will be provided to every parent across on their Android phones. So that release happens from the backend, from the Kreedo team, with the data collected from the school, and directly goes into the parents, and then intimation goes to the school saying that these are the number of parents that we have released it to. And then how to use it will also be provided as part of our app itself, wherein the child can, the parent can go through and then know how the app needs to be taken up, how the games can be taken up. Okay, so I want to now go back to now how the Kreedo philosophy has been implemented in Practico. If you look at the games that we have, these are all specifically done with being tightly integrated with the Kreedo curriculum. Okay, how does it do that? So there are a few core principles that we believe in Kreedo that would work for the child to learn efficiently, and that has translated in this learning app. One, as we all know, there is a structured environment. So the Kreedo lab provides a structured environment for the child to learn. The environment itself stimulates learning and has a sense of order in it, so that the child will have the freedom of choice to, within that environment, to choose up the materials that he or she wants to work with that day. So that has also been translated in the app. In Practico, the Kreedo learning app is structured in a way that a Kreedo lab is structured. So if you can see the Kreedo lab, there are shelves wherein a child can go in and pick up a set of materials and work with it. Similarly, we have a set of 9 games that is provided to the child, and the child is free to pick and choose any one of those. So there is no restriction on those. But like I said earlier, it's a thought through process. This is part of the learning path. But we don't restrict the child to you saying that the child has to take up the first game. No, the child can take up any of the 9 games, and from there on take it forward and then complete the remaining games. Okay, and the second crucial core principle that we have is about providing incremental challenges to the child, be it through activity, be it through our books. All the additional elements, the challenges that we provide are all incremental. We introduce a set of a concept through materials, and then move on, provide them incremental challenges to ensure that the learning is deeper, the learning is foundational, and the learning stays. On similar lines, every activity, every level that we have in Kreedo, the challenge increases as the child moves from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4. So like I said earlier, level 1, it's a simple process, the game will be simple, and then as the child moves on to level 2 to level 3 to level 4, the complexity increases, the learning outcome is higher, and in level 4, we give them a real life context. So that further solidifies the understanding of the concept in the child. So this is the specific requirement. So like I said, structured environment is there in the Kreedo app, it's there in our app. Incremental challenges also available in Kreedo app and also available in our app. And the next one is the control of error. So it's ingrained in each of our material. The control of error is there in all of our materials, where the child is free to explore and commit mistake, identify the mistake and rectify it himself or herself. The same is true when it comes to the app. For example, in the slide that you see here, the child has to identify the specific place. When the child wrongly identifies it from the group of numbers so there is this control of error. The child knows that he has done wrong, and then from there on he explores further and identifies the correct answer, then places it back. So this controller has been inculcated in all our games, wherein the child is free to commit mistake and the solution on his own. So this is true to our materials, and this is true here as well. Okay. Now the next one that we have, the critical element wherein is repetition or practice. So in a lab, the child is free to repeat the material activity as many times he or she wants to on as many days. So the same is there in our Kreedo Learning app. So the game can be taken on multiple times, the level can be taken on multiple times. The game can be left midway, come back, and then take up from where he or she has left off. So multiple prompts that we provide for them to take up multiple times. So for example, at the end of level 1, we also give them an option saying that, do you want to play the level again? Okay, I'll show you that example here when I showed the video. So if you go all the way, see, you see this. So at the end of every level, you get this option. The child gets this option, either play again or play the game. So play the game would be moving on to the next game. Since he has completed all levels, play again will replicate the level again, and the child has to complete it again. So this is where we have put in those critical prompts for them to take up the repetition part, to take up the practice part. Okay. Now the next crucial element, the core principle that we believe in, is freedom of choice. The children in a Kreedo environment have the freedom to choose their own materials and work. The teacher ensures that only relevant materials are provided to the child. The same we provide as part of the Kreedo Learning app, the Practico Learning app. The child can take up any of the games that are listed, and only the relevant games will be listed for the child, not the ones that the child has not taken before. So just like the Kreedo lab, here there are a specific set of freedom to choose the one that he or she wants to. Okay, and then the final critical element that we have, core principles, is of no extrinsic rewards and punishment. So we firmly believe the child should be motivated by the work they do and not motivated by the rewards that it contains. And that is easily followed in the lab. And here we follow it to a certain extent. For example, like I said earlier, there is an amount of award that they get, a set of points. But the points in no way helps them to complete the game faster, or in no way helps them to move on to the next level without completing it. It is just a figurative number that comes in that motivates them to going to the next level. And every time the child plays again, takes up the level again, a set of points gets added on to it, and then that can be used in a different way, rather than using it to move up a level or complete a level, or in gaming parlance, it's called a cheat code. So that's not how rewards work in a practical. So this is more at intrinsically motivating them to take up these levels and then go ahead and complete the level multiple times. Okay, so and just to summarize the core principles that we have. So structured environment is also already available in the app. you have freedom of choice, you have the freedom to repeat, and no extrinsic or rewards and punishment provided. There is control of error across the board. So these are replicated. What we have as part of the lab will be replicated in the app itself. So before I move on to the conclusion, I'll take a few questions. I'm starting with the chat. What about new children? Because we are taking this year for a few of them. Can explain how to teach those children. So newer children, although new to the curriculum, will go through the material activities first and then through the books before they come on to the app. So they would be prepped enough. They would have enough understanding of the concepts and solid knowledge to take up these games. And then also this is the reinforcement. So it's not presented to the child before actual lab presentation is done. So this is always an add-on. This is a reinforcement part, not a standalone learning method. So the child will be strong enough and will have enough understanding to take up these games independently if the child has undergone lab and book activities. Okay. Does it work in a remote area? Yes. I mean, these are the app works offline. Once downloaded, the child can play the game, but needs internet for the data to be uploaded, for the data to say that the child has completed the game. But there is no hindrance when it comes to playing. Once the child starts playing, if the internet is not available also, the child can go on and complete the game at his or her own pace. Anudeep, yes, this is specifically for Kreedo affiliated schools, not available for general public for now, because like I said earlier, this is a reinforcement activity, not a standalone learning tool. Okay, Gayatri is asked, are the games similar to Practico Box games? It's a yes and no. There are few games that are on similar lines of Practivity, and online gives us an independence to go creative. So independence to add in multiple different layers to these. I mean, real life contexts are easy to be given. So we have gone ahead and then created these games with more real life context. Practico, the Practivity toy boxes are physical elements. So you will find a few games which are similar, but most of the games are realistic and they're different from those of the in the Practivity. Okay, now moving on to the Q&A. Accessible to teachers, yes. If a child is in competition, how should we motivate those kids? Again, so those are more or less classroom management ones. So that needs to be taken up in a different session altogether. So here, I can assure you, once a child has the app in hand, he or she will take it up like fish to water. These games are fun. These games are educational. So I'm sure they would be able to take it up without much hassles. Okay. If we're going to do that, Mangala, this is about the 60 curriculum app. Yes, that's also running, and then the plans will be uploaded very soon. Yes, this part has to be bought through. The discussion will be done. The offers that we are providing will be explained by the sales personnel once this webinar is done. You can also contact your IMs. They'll also be able to give you a clear idea of what would be the cost related to Practico. Parents should be any mobile or tablet, and Android-based mobile or tablet would do. The gadget has to be, I'm sure most of the parents do have Android tablets and mobiles, and we're going to add it as part of their mobile rather than giving it to the parent. Almost all, or 100% of the parents will have Android phones, Android smartphones. So that's not a problem. There will be, of course, there will be training sessions taken up at multiple levels by the IMs to ensure that there is a proper rollout of Practico and then how to use it. There will be multiple videos that will be there on the Practico app itself. And we'll be calling in parents to introduce them to, for the ease of use, how it needs to be used, the features will be provided from our side. Yeah, and we are currently testing it out with multiple schools. Few children have it, for us to have an understanding of how this works. And now we are ready to roll it out at a mass level. Every school will get it in the next week and a half or so, and the subscription starts rolling in. You will have access to these games almost immediately. Yeah, do you have the child parents? Yes, that's a call that you have to take personal in a day or two as you contact them. Okay, so I see that the questions are done. So if the questions are done, can we move ahead and for the conclusion part? Okay, so I think we have come out with a poll wherein wanted to ask how many of you would buy it, and is it interesting enough, or do you feel that this is good enough for a child to reinforce the concept instead of response? So I'm going to conclude this now. So technology, when used well, enhances learning for children and adults alike. When we provide the right content, like Practico, in moderation for younger children, learning can increase multiple times. I mean, in multitude number of ways. And in Kreedo, with our materials and books, followed by online games, almost guaranteed. We can guarantee saying that the concepts that the child learns complete the abstract process. And this app will be launched, will reach the schools at multiple levels. Salesperson will contact you with details and offers to implement Practico in your schools very, very soon. Okay. So if there are any further questions, you can ask now, or we would be ending this webinar here.